Among the ranks of Cobra, we've seen mercenaries, mad scientists, and mechanical masterminds. But in 1987, Hasbro introduced a villain unlike any other, one who could control your mind with a single glance. Today, we're diving into the strange and fascinating history of Crystal Ball, Cobra's master hypnosist and one of the most mysterious figures in the G.I. Joe universe. Crystal Ball made his debut in 1987 as part of the G.I. Joe A Real American Hero toy line. His file card painted an eerie picture born in Bangor, Maine, the seventh son of a seventh son rumored to have psychic powers inherited from his Romanian father. He was said to have possessed supernatural second sight that allows him to read minds and control others. Cobra quickly recruited him. All right, let's take a look at Crystal Ball and the packaging right here. We got a lot of reflective on it. Hopefully that's coming across pretty good. Crystal Ball, kind of hard to get. It's easier to get now that everything is cooking. I do have this that is just fantastically not ready to go. I found a lot of broken G.I. Joes that I needed. Does have the broken crotch that's right there, but we are going to kind of look into this. So the Crystal Ball face of the G.I. Joe that my O-rings haven't come in for yet. It looks to be older in the vintage than it does in the classified. Like he looks older in that aspect of it. I don't know if that is anything that is supposed to be or not supposed to be, but does have his wings like a mobster, which is pretty cool. And side of it looks as such. Don't know really what any of this stuff means. Richard Crystal Ball King does have his tattoos that are on here, and then we've got the hologram mask that he is very well known for in the movie of being able to portray, and that is all in the package. Let's take a look at when you get him out and go from there. Out of the packaging, and my first just glimpse at him here without having any plastic around that's Crystal Ball. That looks like him. The face, like I said, looks younger than what my vintage has reminded me of. The sculpt for it, though, is pretty cool. Difference you could see is the kind of black tear stains the cheek there. A little Dreaming Tea from the Dave Matthews Band lyric coming out hot. He just looks like an old magician, and this is like the young, ready to do some damage to you over here. So articulation and everything is the same. So the jacket is a hard plastic. I do love the details at the bottom. Looks like it's been worn and rode and everything else. Does have his tattoo right there on his arm. Does have some tattoos on his chest after his medallions that kind of linger around there. And then another tattoo on the back or on the other arm that's right there, which is very cool. Does come with an extra hand that looks like a claw. Comes with his pistol, which will go into his pistol holder as such. There we go. Then comes with the Crystal Ball, which is kind of cool. Has that. Has a skull inside of it. I don't think you're going to be able to see that very well, but that is that. Has the flaming sword here, which is a very cool. Let me see. Is this glow in the dark? I don't know if it is or not. Let's. No. Not glow in the dark there, but as we push that down, has his magical sword, and he has. I don't. Oh, here we go. Getting him a little bit better here. I like it. Yeah, I mean it's decent. I am not a big fan of this ram horn octopus skull thing. So it is not a mask. I thought at first in the packaging when this was released, and I probably should have known better, but I'll never dive into it. This is a head swap. So Crystal Ball's head would come off, and then this magical head would come and replace it as such. I will never, ever use any of that. Now we've got this coming out. So this looks like one of the Snake Men's shield from, I guess it was Tongue Lasher. No, it wasn't Tongue Lasher. It was anyway, oh well, another video. But it does have the skull with the snakes coming out of it. But for me, the coolest part of this whole thing is see how we're gonna get this here. It'll be as such. It'll be as such, I say. There we go. I don't want to snap it or anything. So back in the vintage figure days, having a hologram was a pretty big deal. And really, in my opinion, Crystal Ball's kind of popularity came because of a shield that looked similar to this, that had the moving parts in it. This does supposed to clip in here. Clip in here. There we go. And it should. Oh, I need it to hold it. You gotta hold it, dude. Anyway, not doing it. Another review with me not being able to do something in this. It's like 3 for 3. And so this is supposed to symbolize what's coming out of the shield. So non-shield is green out, and then green in is the magic is about to happen. But that's Crystal Ball. Let's get to more info on his details of history and everything else. Wouldn't it have been, is he he's not a Dreadnought, is he? He's not a Dreadnought. I do think he should be a Dreadnought. All right, anyway, back to more of his history. Here's a fun fact. Stephen King, yep, that's Stephen King, had a hand in creating Crystal Ball. The horror author's son, Owen King, was a huge G.I. Joe fan and helped come up with the idea. Stephen King himself even wrote parts of Crystal Ball's official fire-colored bio, making him one of the few Cobra operatives with a Hollywood horror connection. In the comic books, he had first appeared in Marvel's run of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero. In his debut, he worked as Cobra's interrogator, using hypnosis to extract secrets from captive enemies. One storyline even had him attempt to help Cobra Commander manipulate U.S. officials during a daring infiltration plot, but as usual, G.I. Joe foiled the plan. In IDW's modern G.I. Joe continuity, Crystal Ball's role expanded further. He became Cobra's Inquisitor General, responsible for rooting out traitors within Cobra's ranks and interrogating them, and captured agents would have their day with Crystal Ball. Here, his abilities were portrayed in a way of mixed psychic intuition and advanced psychological conditioning, walking the line between science and sorcery. Unlike many classic Cobra villains, Crystal Ball didn't appear in the 80s cartoon. By the time his figure and storyline, the Sunbow cartoon, had already wrapped and headed out. However, Crystal Ball did appear in commercial animation spots for the toy line, where his hypo shield and eerie eyes were showcased using trippy visual effects. Over time, he popped up with fan animations, stop-motion series, and, hey, YouTube's, here we are. His creepy demeanor marking and making him a favorite amongst most and a lot of the G.I. Joe stranger sides. In the Devil's Due publishing G.I. Joe comics of the early 2000s, Crystal Ball returned under a more sinister disguise, posing as Dr. Scott Stevenson, a therapist secretly programming General Ray with the post-hypnotic Cobra Commander. The storyline gave the character a darker, more psychological twist, showing him as a true manipulator of the mind. Crystal Ball isn't your typical agent. His skills, hypnosis, psychological, and integration, reading body language, and so on. So, whether you've seen him or the forgotten oddity of Cobra's truest master of the mind, Crystal Ball remains one of the most unique villains in the G.I. Joe universe. What do you think? Was Crystal Ball ahead of his time, or just too weird for the 80s battlefront? Leave a comment down below, and we'll see you next time.